All right, let's move on. Dr. Cole, this is an interesting topic because it's what is trending everywhere, okay? CBD, what does it mean to you? We're going to find out all the details, but, isn't it hot right now?
Yeah, that's an understatement. I will, so recently I had this little leg thing that I think I told you about. We talked about it on Easy.
The ski accident?
Yeah, a tree trunk ran out and grabbed my tibia and almost broke it, and I'm recovered now. But I went to get a massage, and the massage therapist used CBD oil with menthol, and and that's just one example. But I will tell you, every single day I'm in the office seeing patients, I'm being asked about the benefits and the safety of CBD, and it's everywhere, and in a variety of formulations consumed, topicals, ointments, salves, and so forth. So super, honestly, confusing area, and it's something that we could probably dedicate a few shows to. But I thought, this morning we'd have a little introduction to it.
Well, let's bring on an expert, and she is joining us from Boulder, Colorado, head of retail marketing at Mandara CBD. And CBD, is it worth the hype, is our topic. Gretchen Dudon. Gretchen, thanks so much for joining us here on Sports Medicine Weekly. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
All right, so CBD, Gretchen, is everywhere, from the grocery store to the gas station. Tell us what actually is CBD, and how do you know if a product is actually high quality?
It's a great question. So CBD is basically, it stands for cannabidiol, and it is one of the most abundant of all of these things called cannabidiols that's found in a hemp plant. Now, CBD is also found in a marijuana plant, otherwise known as what we call in the industry a cannabis plant. It's different from what we know. Cannabis is known to have a psychoactive effect, and that's actually from one of its sister cannabinoids called tetrahydrocannabinoid. But CBD specifically stands for cannabidiol. And it's about, out of all the different cannabinoids found in the hemp plant, which there's about 100 of them that have been identified, and I think we're going to see more cannabinoids coming out. CBD represents about 40% of a hemp plant. And so it's a really important chemical compound that's derived from both hemp and cannabis plants.
So is the fundamental difference that it lacks THC?
Well, it's a totally different chemical compound, actually. If you look at the chemical structure of CBD versus the psychoactive part of the marijuana plant called THC, they're almost identical in nature with the exception of one molecular difference. I believe it's the oxygen molecule. It has one extra of those. And so they're very similar from a chemical structure, but they're very different in terms of how they interact with your body.
If someone uses marijuana, are they also getting CBD at the same time, or no?
They could be. If you were to ingest marijuana, otherwise known as cannabis, you are going to be eating the plant if you're ingesting it, or you're going to be smoking it. And when you do smoke cannabis, you could be getting some other of the cannabinoids that are found in a cannabis plant. However, if you're going to be buying that from the only place you can buy it, which is now in Illinois, you have recreational marijuana legalized. Well done. You can go in there and into a shop, and you can see the different levels of different cannabinoids that are actually found in your product, and THC would be the most relevant one found in a medical or recreational dispensary.
Okay, and just to clarify, is most CBD oil coming still from the hemp plant or from a totally different plant without THC, or they process it so that there's no THC in it?
That's a good question. Right now, according to the Farm Bill that was just recently passed last year, all CBD that's legally sold in the United States has to be derived from a hemp plant.
Okay.
And it has to contain less than 0.3% THC in that hemp plant to be legalized as a farm bill, and to be legalized to be sold in a place other than a recreational dispensary or a medical dispensary. So what you are getting when you buy CBD is you are getting an extract from the legal hemp plant that's going to be farm bill approved.
You're listening to Sports Medicine Weekly here on this Saturday morning on The Score. Our guest is Gretchen Dudon. She is head of retail marketing at Mandara CBD.
So, Gretchen, is it is it? I have like 500 questions that we have to answer in like 3 minutes, so bear with me. So is it a medical? How is it classified? A medical food, a supplement, or not, or other? How is it classified?
Yeah, so right now CBD, actually a really cool thing that just happened is there's been a bipartisan bill that was just presented to Congress, I think 2 weeks ago, CBD as a supplement.
Right.
And this is a big deal for our industry, being that it was bipartisan, and it would allow CBD then to be labeled as a food supplement.
All right, so a food supplement, not a medical food. So it falls into things like creatine or protein or branched chain amino acids and things like that. Is that actually correct?
Well, if this bill got passed, that's how it would be classified, and that's what we really want.
Okay, so let me
as an industry.
So let me ask you a fundamental question. Marijuana has been around forever. When was it first identified that CBD may have some sort of medicinal, can't make any claims type thing, but some medicinal effects? Today, this can't be new, but we're seeing it everywhere. What happened and what triggered it?
Well, I think what happened is there was some early leaders in the cannabis industry when marijuana became legalized. It was a big win for the industry, and when that kind of the veil lifted, and Colorado was the first state to legalize cannabis, marijuana, they started finding a lot of these different cannabinoids in the plant when they were starting to able to do their extractions or research and development. And one of the big ones that came out of that, which again represents 40% of the hemp plant, but also is represented in the cannabis marijuana plant, was CBD as a consequence of the legalization of marijuana.
Was it not available until the legalization process came about? Was that the byproduct of the legalization process to get CBD available as well?
I do believe so, yeah. Before marijuana was legal, we didn't see anything on the shelves representing CBD. We had hemp seed oil, which is a food supplement, which is high in omega-3s, but it's not an extraction of the hemp plant.
So is it safe to say you can't buy CBD in every state?
No. Since the Farm Bill's been passed, CBD federally is legal, as long as it's extracted from Farm Bill approved hemp, meaning that hemp plant has to test in the less than 0.3% THC. Okay,
now let's get into, and we don't have a lot of time, but let's get in what are the benefits of CBD. If you could sort of highlight the top 3 to 5 benefits for our listeners, and then how do we identify quality?
Yes, that's a great question. It's hard to, off the cuff, say, hey, there's been all this research with CBD, and this is what it's good for, because the industry was stalwarted when hemp was made illegal back years ago. Now that it's made legal, we're back in the lab. We want to have more regulation. We want to have more research. What we do know is that we all have this thing in our bodies called the endocannabinoid system. It stands for ECS. And the whole purpose of the endocannabinoid system is to keep your body in balance, to maintain a state of homeostasis. And CBD interacts with the endocannabinoid system. Now, we naturally produce endocannabinoids. But if you're stressed or if you have a poor diet or poor sleep or poor nutrition, you're not getting enough of that to support your ECS system. So one of the things that's been found is a phytocannabinoid, a plant cannabinoid from the hemp plant, actually really supports our endocannabinoid system. And what that system does, thereby where CBD can very much help you, is the endocannabinoid system regulates things like pain, pleasure, mood, digestion, inflammation. So CBD has been found to help these aspects of your body due to its ability to seamlessly interact with your endocannabinoid system.
So how do we know? Well, I'm not certain what the barrier to entry is. I can only tell you that I see it everywhere. So how does the consumer differentiate quality from marketing?
That's a great question. I think that from a consumer perspective, you need to look at a few things. You need to make sure that there's third-party testing on your product, and that those third-party tests are showing you their certificate of analyses, which look at heavy metals, pesticides, potency. Are you really getting as much CBD as the label says? did that person that made that CBD product test for THC? Is it less than the 0.3% that it needs to be able to be a legally hemp-derived CBD product? Does it have a QR code on the bottle that shows, again, links to your certificate of analyses that shows all these different tests? I think it's also important to see where your hemp's sourced from. A lot of companies will show it's either Colorado-sourced hemp or Oregon-sourced hemp. Oregon has a great, a great population of hemp farmers and hemp growers, same with California and of course, Colorado. So it's really important to make sure there's transparency in the product and there's testing associated with it.
Great stuff. She really knows her stuff. Gretchen Dudon from Mandara CBD out of Boulder, Colorado. And Mandara, MANDARA-CBD.com is your website?
Yes, it's correct.
Wonderful, Gretchen. Hey, thanks so much for being our expert today on CBD. We'll get you on again because quite an interesting topic and a lot to cover. So thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cole. I would love to join you again.
We'd love to have you. Thanks for taking the time this morning.
Yes, thanks, Steve.
You got it, Gretchen. Appreciate it. Let's take a break and come back with our Ask the Doctor segment. You're listening to Sports Medicine Weekly, only on
670 The